But,
Right.
but again, so with AI and getting into autonomous drones, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm at Lockheed now, and Lockheed Martin makes all sorts of like, Iron Man equipment for, the
Yeah.
military that we're all familiar
Right.
with. They compete against others like Boeing and, BAE. So
Right.
not that I know these things. So you get out of Lockheed, right? Are you out of
Yeah.
Lockheed now? And now you're running, your company,
Yep.
and your focus is on what?
So Exyn Technologies is focused on the intersection between autonomous navigation for robots and unmanned systems and the intersection of high accuracy mapping, creating three-dimensional models and maps of unknown or difficult to access environments. So
Sure.
our commercial work often ends up focusing on heavy industry, so underground mining or critical infrastructure. Those are industries where there are a lot of areas that are very dangerous or difficult to access for people, and you want to try and remove people from the most dangerous parts of those industries. And so robotics is the right thing to use in those scenarios, right? Because you're keeping people safer,
Correct.
you're getting better information, you're automating things that in other cases, you're depending on people doing repetitious things successfully, which is not really what we're best at. And so, you're targeting the right technologies for those kind of solutions. And the same is true in the government world as well, where we're putting these systems into difficult or dangerous environments, and we're trying to automate processes that are not best done by people anyway. And so it's trying to give the warfighter an opportunity to expand their view of the battlefield or better knowledge of the environment before they go in, or there's a bunch of different use cases for it.
Right, and it's a very cool world to try to Rubik's cube. You're sitting here trying to put it all together. I have another friend of mine that's working with super sensitive sensors for mine operations to detect human movement.
Yeah.
Subtle, so they can find if there's like a collapse on top of the mine or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's Dark Pulse is the name of the company, but they do lasers. I mean, like it's just like who's thinking of this? I'm sitting here thinking like I got to make a million. How am I going to make a million? I got to retail myself, but someone's like, no, man, just make this little sensor and just solder this little wire here, and then just program this chip, and boom, we can find life underground.
Yeah, no, it's wild. That's one of the cool things about working at the company, right? Because I'm not the inventor of it. I'm not even a founder here, but I joined basically to commercialize it, take it from research to actualization. And so a lot of the early technical hires are PhD experts, world unique experts in autonomy and mapping and motion planning and all this wild stuff. And so it's really cool to be able to kind of extract interesting information from them and try and use it to apply to build the product.
Yeah, exactly. And so what do you see your product, let's say helping, okay? Because we always know there's two sides to everything. So how's your product, how's your company foresee, the humanitarian effort?
So, I mean, the biggest area is literally just keeping people out of dangerous places. So whether that's in the mine near the explosives that you're setting off to, pull people out or pull the ore out of a mine, or you're saying, I need to understand what the next 10 city blocks looks like in a combat zone. I don't really want to just send people in. I'd like to get a picture there first. All of those scenarios involve allowing a robot to give you information that you would otherwise have to get, with your eyeballs. And so trying to remove people from the most dangerous parts of their jobs is a great reason to be doing anything.
Humanitarian.
And I think, it's a good first start. And, in our world, it's rare to have a product where people will buy only because of, humanitarian benefit.
Right.
But because we're also delivering that with, better and more efficient operations, and you can quantify a lot of the the return on investment as well. So we get to have this sort of dual outcome, which is kind of unique.
Yeah, I think I would like to put out there AI being for more humanitarian efforts, because right now, I don't really like to date my podcast and talk about what day it is because I want it to be always but right now in the world we're living in, 2023, there's a huge demand to pause AI development, led by, Elon and, Warowitz from IBM and Apple, and these guys are like, we should pause for the cause and quit developing. Well, what's 6 months going to do? Are these brains going to stop really developing? I mean, are they going to stop sleeping at night thinking about codes and quantum physics and like, hey, if I just were to move this chess piece here, but I got 3 months left to do that. You think, what's your thoughts? Is your company listening to this chatter going on about AI and autonomous?
So the categories of AI are a little bit amorphous, but when they're talking about the AI pausing, that concept is basically applying these large language models or language learning models to interfaces that then can emulate people, like a chat interface, right?
I see.
And so the worry there is that then gets too close to an indistinguishable AI from a human interaction, and that's where it gets super dicey, because people start to treat them like people and treat what is said in a chat interface by an AI as something that a person says to them.
Right.
And then if you take action on that, then that gets super dicey, because you can basically automate misinformation, or if there's biases built into the language model, then those just get multiplied a millionfold in these interactions. And so, it's not like interacting with a human is without fault either, but problems become problems much faster and much more universally with something that's like a central AI. Mm-hmm. And so we're in a different category of AI, where we're not doing, language learning models that are trying to interact with people as if
Terminators. You're not making Terminators.
No. So we're trying to basically take allow a person to set a high level objective, and then the robot will self-plan its flight path or how to position in a space and create these models and that sort of thing. So we're focusing on autonomous navigation and autonomous path planning and like decision making around how to accomplish a mission.
Very cool. Almost like throw it up in the air, have a beacon on your wrist, and then it can come back to you. Once it does its 5-minute spin around the area of operation, right? That's kind of the thought process in my head from what you just explained.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a use case, right? There's a lot of fascinating things that, and probably the coolest part about this tech is we aren't going to think of all the best use cases. Once we build it and we take it out to market and we put it in front of the operators or the miners or whoever, they'll be like, hey, that's pretty cool. You know what else we could do? And then immediately go off on something we've never thought of, because we're not the
It's your own R2D2, bro. It's like you could have your own R2. Right. If you had a little wrist communicator that he just tracked to, it's like flying around your shoulder. You're like, R2, what's it look like at the ski resort today? Up he goes, down back he comes. You got your info. Also, to jokingly segue into that, right? Am I thinking, can you make something that would follow like a snowboarder as they rode, so they didn't have to hold like a GoPro or like any of their helmet cams? You could have this thing kind of filming you like a film crew, like we're used to seeing on movies. Is that something you guys are dabbling? Can you make me something?
So I mean, that is actually a commercially available product.
Okay.
Skydio makes a sports drone that follows you. I don't know how it would do on a ski slope, but I've seen people use it for mountain biking.
Sure, that's the same speeds. Sure. Yeah. Just lots of turns and nice and easy. If you're gonna bomb it doing 60, I don't know, keep up. But just nice and easy.
There, So but that is like part of the broader autonomous drone industry. Like that is an absolute use case that is utilized. Yeah. So I check it out. Skydio's got some pretty good.
I will check that out. And I was just hoping that maybe you guys could put a little something smaller out there, maybe a little like a wasp that just sits on my shoulder and flies away. It's like,
well, we're not quite there yet, but maybe someday.
It's got to be something sensitive that no one wants to smack, though, like a butterfly.
That's right. That'd be a better one.
Everyone wants to hit the wasp, So it's like, geez, then we're diving into the game Call of Duty because they use a wasp in that. That's probably where I'm getting my thoughts from, bro.
There you go.
Got to fly into a conference room to check the mission out, and you're a wasp, and so it's relaying everything back to the player, and you're the wasp. So you fly around the people, and they're swatting at you.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, I'm sure my listener knows that's Black Ops 2, the Atlas Corporation scene. So now, What do you see, the military picking up from you on this? They want some robots.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got some really interesting projects going now that focus a lot around like combat engineers and how they, need to do rapid scans of areas to build bases or fortifications, or like figure out if a particular road or bridge is safe for convoy or transit or whatever. So a lot of use cases there where it's really important to get fast, accurate data of an environment.
Yes.
There's also the idea of like, if you are trying to avoid putting people through a choke point, which is convoys often, right? Those are some of the most of the casualties we had in Afghanistan, for instance, I think actually came from convoys. And so if you can then avoid having a pre-planned choke point and instead have a whole bunch of autonomous ground vehicles that are just sort of wandering through the fields or the forest or whatever, that's not predictable, that's harder to tackle, it's not manned in the first place, so you're keeping your soldiers and sailors and airmen off of that front line.
That's right.
And trying to resupply autonomously, that becomes a huge benefit, and it makes logistics more viable and less dangerous, and all the things that are really important for an operating force.
It's true. Life is precious, right? And throwing people into harm's way like World War I has kind of changed, right? Yeah. We don't have to really be so trench to trench, bayonet to bayonet. Today it's way more strategic, and I honestly hate to hear about clashes, with other countries and ourselves, but if it's going to be, fighter jets crashing into a drone and trying to knock it into the Black Sea, then I'm happy it's a drone. Okay. Yeah. So, and if they want to try to recover the drone, it's not, they're trying to recover the pilot and the drone, right? So there are these safety factors to it, and with more and more of this technology coming out for the mining industry, right? That's a real big deal, because where do we get like all of our stuff? From the earth.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Everything you're looking at is from the earth.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting because it's not that sexy an industry, but it is so fundamental to the entire supply chain, right? So it's not like we're going to stop mining.
No.
We may as well do it better and safer and try and improve it
and be productive and efficient and just get to the point. If we need ore then if we can send in robotics and artificial intelligence to go in and do a lot of that, and maybe there's like 3 guys working with it versus 30 guys working with it, and perhaps the robots have like safety devices on them as well that like anybody on the ground can get to them, and there's like a first aid kit built on them, and like a avalanche bag that blows up in case it's needs to make an air pocket, things like that. I can see that's like kind of humanitarian. Maybe it's got some Cheez-It crackers.
There you go. Most important.
I just say a little convenience. If it's a robot, it's got to haul something for me.
That's right.
Okay. Come on, R2. Make me an ice cream. You're a machine.
I'll put those in our next packs. We'll have Oreos and
please making we won't say that brand, but making us a nice little shake or something. Now that's very humanitarian. Now, what do you see is launching? Do you guys have any projects that the civilian world can know about? Is there something out there that we can look up and say, oh wow, this is who I just listened to on the podcast, and this is his product? Yeah.
So we are in the process of releasing our next generation drone system, which is the Exyn Aero, and we're partnering with a company called Easy Aerial, which is an American drone manufacturer, and this is going to be one of our first Blue certified drone systems, which is a classification that the government uses to say, yes, we've evaluated the cybersecurity risks and supply chain stuff, and we're willing to buy it.
So, yes, right.
So it's pretty exciting that we're able to put this out in market, and got a lot of interest from both government and commercial for the system. So pretty exciting.
I'd imagine, and if they're in that industry, they need something like this. This is the place to look it up. You've got some credentials and pedigree to go along with it, which is why I kind of said, what was your degree? You're going after the engineering aspect, and the military has led you down a path of just a whole different bunch of ladders you had to climb to learn how to say, yes, sir. My dad taught me this. He's like, no matter what, Aaron, you either have to salute the rank or you have to salute the man. Either way, you got to salute. Yep. Okay, so you just got to swallow that pill. Okay, so no matter what, just salute it.